Today, we're going to take a look inside one of the most ambitious projects you've probably never even heard of. It's called Project Octagon, and it's basically a blueprint for building these high-tech, totally self-sufficient societies in some of the most remote corners of the world. So let's dive right in. And that brings us to the central challenge, the big question. How in the world do you build a luxury tech hub, a place for international investors and top engineers, somewhere with no reliable power, no paved roads, and no data infrastructure? Seriously, how is that even possible? Well, the answer lies in a completely new way of thinking. And that new way of thinking is called sovereign infrastructure. The core idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also revolutionary. Instead of trying to connect to a national grid that might be unreliable or non-existent, you just build your own closed-loop ecosystem. It generates its own power, manages its own data, provides all its own services. It's about creating this little island of perfect reliability in a sea of scarcity.
All right, first up, an off-grid global network. See, Project Octagon's vision isn't just about building one little island of reliability. Oh no, the vision is much, much bigger than that. It's about a whole global network of these self-sufficient nodes.
Think of it like a web of interconnected, specialized hubs. So one node might be the brain, let's say, in Canada, while another is a testing ground out in Arizona, and a third is the big industrial engine in Africa. The key is they all work together, sharing data and resources to build this resilient, decentralized future.
Section 2, Uganda's high-tech welcome mat. Okay, to make this feel real, let's zoom in on one critical piece of this global puzzle, Node 1. This is the very first point of contact for the whole African operation.
So what is Node 1 exactly? Well, it's strategically located in the Karamoja region of Uganda. And its main job isn't industrial, it's all about logistics and hospitality. They actually call it the welcome mat, and as you can see, its telemetry is green, which means its systems are fully active and online right now.
This analogy, it's from the project's own internal documents, and it just perfectly captures Node 1's role. If Project Octagon were a smart city, Node 1 is Grand Central Station combined with the visitor center. It's the arrival point, it's the coordination hub, and it's the place where all the human needs of this massive industrial project are met.
Section 3. Solving the last mile problem. So, why put so much effort into a welcome mat? Because Node 1 is designed to solve one of the biggest headaches in any remote development project, the infamous last mile problem. Its mission really breaks down into 3 parts. First, it's a high-tech concierge for investors, making their travel totally seamless. Second, it's pioneering a new kind of off-grid ecotourism that actually respects the local culture. And third, it's the logistical backbone, managing things like housing and transport for the industrial workforce on the ground. Next section, inside the technology stack. So how does a remote outpost in rural Uganda actually pull all of this off? Well, it all comes down to the technology. Let's take a peek at the tech stack that's powering this whole frontier operation.
At the heart of everything is RIOS. That stands for the Rural Infrastructure Operating System. It's basically the project's brain. This is the software that manages everything from power distribution to booking reservations, and it's all optimized for a completely off-grid environment.
Now this is where it gets really futuristic. Get this. To get an investor from, say, New York to rural Uganda, you don't call a travel agent. Instead, your personal AI agent talks directly to Node 1's AI agent. They automatically book the flights, handle the visas, and schedule all the transport. The whole system is designed to remove every bit of friction from traveling to one of the most remote places on Earth. And once you land at the local airstrip, you're picked up by a curb car. This is the project's fleet of rugged, autonomous electric vehicles. They're built to handle those unpaved roads, shuttling people between the lodge, the industrial park, and any local sites. And finally, there's health and safety. The Clinic in a Box is a super sophisticated telemedicine module. It gives them world-class diagnostic capabilities right there on site. And look, this isn't just a perk. It's an absolute necessity to satisfy insurance requirements and to guarantee the well-being of both the international workforce and the local community. Okay, Section 5, the human-machine interface. All this incredible technology would be totally useless without the right people on the ground to manage it and to connect it to the local reality. This is where the people come in. And the key person here is Mike Tumwesigye. He's a local leader and a tourism expert. Now, putting him at the helm is absolutely critical. It ensures the project has what's called a social license to operate. So it's not seen as some foreign invasion, but as a real partnership that's rooted in local expertise.
This slide, this is where it all just clicks together. It shows you the project's internal ecosystem. You see, Node 1, that's the human hub, provides all the housing, food, and transport for the workers. In return, Node 4, the industrial engine, provides Node 1 with the 10+ megawatts of off-grid power it needs to function. They are completely and totally dependent on each other. One literally cannot exist without the other.
And what's really crucial here is that this isn't just about dropping a tech bubble into the wilderness. No, the project is actively building partnerships with local communities, like the Karamoja pastoralists and the Eek beekeepers. This creates what they call a sovereign supply chain, where the lodge buys local produce. It creates a real, sustainable economic link that actually empowers the local economy.
All right, Section 6, the blueprint for a frontier. So we've seen the concept, the tech, and the people. Now let's look at the roadmap for growth and the very real risks that are involved.
You know, the rollout is pretty methodical. As this timeline shows, it starts with the basics. Site prep, getting connectivity like Starlink online. Then comes the big procurement of the full EV fleet. Now, for the first 3 years, Node 1 is focused entirely on supporting the industrial build-out. It's only in year 4 that it finally pivots to a public-facing tourism business.
This slide really gets to the heart of the matter. The project's single greatest strength is its ability to create perfectly reliable infrastructure in the middle of nowhere. But its greatest threat is external, the potential for regional instability. As you can see, this is a true high-risk, high-reward environment. So you might be wondering, does this futuristic model actually work financially? Well, according to their projections, just by servicing the internal needs of the larger project, Node 1 is expected to generate a net operating income of $61,500 in its very first year. And this is the real game changer. It's cash flow positive from day one, before a single tourist ever arrives. That completely upends the traditional model for frontier development.
So what's the ultimate takeaway here? Well, Node 1 is a proof of concept. It demonstrates that with the right technology and the right operating system, it's totally possible to deliver world-class logistics and luxury hospitality anywhere on the planet, completely independent of existing grids.
And that leaves us with one final big question. We've seen the plan, we've seen the tech, and we've seen the potential. So are we looking at the blueprint for a new type of self-sufficient city? A model for the future? Or is this just destined to remain a fascinating, beautiful, but ultimately isolated experiment out there on the frontier? It's definitely something to think about.